If she takes hours to reply, and your entire mood shifts because of it, you are already losing. Not because she's automatically playing games, not because delayed replies always mean bad intentions, and not because patience guarantees attraction, but because in that moment, you are no longer in control of yourself. And the second your emotional state becomes dependent on someone else's response time, you hand over power without realizing it. This is what most men completely misunderstand about texting. They think the real problem is her delay. It's not. The real problem is what that delay exposes inside you. Because when she takes hours to reply, most men do not stay calm. They spiral. They check their phone constantly. They reread old messages. They watch for online status. They start calculating. Why did she see it but not answer? Why was she active an hour ago? Did I say too much? Is she losing interest? Is she talking to someone else? And without realizing it, they are no longer communicating. They are emotionally reacting to uncertainty, and uncertainty has destroyed more masculine composure than rejection ever will. Because rejection is clear, uncertainty is psychological torture for men who lack emotional discipline. Let's break this down. When a woman takes hours to reply, there are only two things happening. Either she's genuinely busy, or she's creating space. That's it. And here's where weak men fail. They assume both scenarios require immediate emotional action. If she's busy, they panic unnecessarily. If she's creating space, they chase unnecessarily. Either way, they lose. Because desperate energy does not come from what you send. It comes from why you send it. Double texting for clarity, sending random follow-ups, changing your tone, trying to be funnier, trying to regain attention, trying to fix the silence. All of it communicates one thing. You have affected my emotional state, and now I need reassurance. That pressure is rarely attractive. Now let's be clear. Patience does not mean pretending not to care. Patience means your peace does not collapse just because someone else is temporarily unavailable. That is a massive difference. A confident man can like a woman without making her responsiveness the center of his emotional stability. He understands something most men don't. People reveal more through patterns than isolated moments. One delayed reply means nothing. A consistent pattern means everything. But impatient men sabotage themselves before patterns even form. They react too early. And reacting too early is often what creates the very distance they fear. Think about it. If she was interested, but genuinely busy, your pressure creates exhaustion. If she was uncertain, your pressure confirms insecurity. If she was testing your patience, your pressure means failure. In every case, panic works against you. Because this is bigger than texting. This is about frame. Frame is your ability to remain emotionally steady without constant validation. And modern dating exposes weak frame faster than ever, because texting gives people endless opportunities to reveal insecurity. Hours feel longer when you are emotionally attached to outcomes. Minutes feel painful when your self-worth is waiting for a notification. That's why some men stare at screens, while others continue living. The difference is not interest. The difference is emotional self-control. Now here's where it gets deeper. Sometimes delayed replies are intentional, not always malicious, but intentional. Because attention has value, and people naturally notice what affects you. If every delayed response causes visible anxiety, you teach her that access to you is easy, but control over you is easier. This does not mean become cold, it means become grounded. There is a difference. Coldness is reaction, groundedness is control. A grounded man doesn't play games, he simply refuses to emotionally collapse over small disruptions. He doesn't assume, he observes. He doesn't chase temporary silence, he watches consistency. He doesn't force clarity, he allows behavior to reveal truth. This mindset alone will separate you from most men, because most men want immediate certainty. But attraction often punishes emotional impatience. Why? Because impatience often comes from fear. Fear of losing attention, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough, fear of uncertainty, and fear changes behavior. Suddenly you text differently, you overinvest too soon, you become more available than necessary, you start prioritizing someone who has not yet earned that priority. And that imbalance is dangerous, because the person who becomes emotionally invested fastest often loses leverage first. Now let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes men make. They personalize everything. She took 5 hours, I must have done something wrong. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe she's busy. Maybe she's distracted. Maybe she's emotionally inconsistent. Maybe she likes attention. Maybe she's unsure. Maybe she's just living her life. The point is this: when your mind instantly chooses the explanation that damages your self-worth, your issue is not her reply time, it's your internal stability. And this is why patience is power. Because patience protects you from self-sabotage. Patience gives truth time to reveal itself, without unnecessary damage, without emotional overreaction, without exposing insecurity too soon. The man who cannot tolerate uncertainty will always be manipulated by it. Not necessarily by women, by life. Because life itself often delays answers. And if every delay creates panic, you become easy to destabilize. This is why patience is not passive. It is strength. It is discipline. It is the ability to sit in uncertainty without abandoning logic. Now, does this mean tolerate disrespect? No. If someone consistently ignores you, gives minimal effort, replies only when convenient, keeps you emotionally confused, patience does not mean endless waiting. It means you do not force what is not flowing. That's different. Weak men chase clarity from people who create confusion. Strong men notice confusion and adjust accordingly. Sometimes patience means waiting. Sometimes patience means walking away. Wisdom is knowing the difference. And here's the harsh truth. A woman taking hours to reply is not always the problem. Sometimes, the real problem is that you built emotional attachment before enough evidence existed. You gave importance too early. You treated possibility like commitment. You became emotionally invested in potential instead of reality. And when reality feels inconsistent, you suffer. This is why disciplined men stay observant early on. Interest is fine. Attachment without evidence is dangerous. So what should you actually do when she takes hours to reply? Simple. Live. Focus on your mission. Focus on your body. Focus on your work. Focus on your standards. Focus on whether her overall behavior aligns, not whether one text came fast enough. Because your life should never feel paused because of someone else's phone. And the moment it does, you need to ask yourself a dangerous question. Am I interested in her or addicted to validation? That question changes everything, because many men are not chasing connection, they are chasing reassurance. And reassurance addiction creates emotional weakness. The strongest position is this: you appreciate attention without depending on it. You enjoy connection without losing yourself in it. You notice effort without begging for it. And if inconsistency becomes a pattern, you do not panic. You do not plead. You do not perform. You simply pay attention and move accordingly. Because patience is not waiting for someone to choose you. Patience is maintaining your composure while truth reveals whether they should. And that shift changes everything. Because when a man masters patience, delayed replies stop controlling him. Silence stops intimidating him. Uncertainty stops weakening him. And he becomes dangerous to emotional manipulation. Because he no longer rushes to escape discomfort. He remains steady long enough to see clearly.